There are a lot of reasons that people prep. Some reasons people think are foolish, and some seem to make a lot of sense. Now, I'm not one to take away from anyone's reasoning behind prepping because at least they're ready for something. And that means that in the long run, they may be ready for anything. So, what are the reasons that people prep? Let's take a look at the 5 that I think are the most common, in no particular order. Number 1, the Doomsday Prepper. The Doomsday Prepper is often the guy who thinks the whole world is going to come to a screeching halt. He's the one preparing for a supervolcano eruption that will throw the entire ecosystem off balance. He's the guy expecting a meteor or comet to strike the Earth. He's the guy waiting for global nuclear war. He's the guy that thinks there's going to be a global pandemic that's going to wipe out the majority of the population. You get the idea. Whatever it is, it'll be earth-shattering. The pros to this? They are often very heavily prepared and have large stockpiles and are more likely than others to have bunkers. They also tend to think long-term, very long-term. Cons to this, however, some of them talk too much, not only about their prep, but why they're prepping, to too many people, when they should be more careful about what they say and to whom. They also tend to spend so much on prepping they have nothing left for anything else. They forget they've got to live now, too. Some of them are also so dedicated to one type of potential disaster that they won't consider anything else. Number 2, the religious prepper. The religious prepper is the guy who is expecting the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse to show up any minute now. He thinks that whatever is going to happen is completely biblically linked and will be the wrath of God. Pros to this are that they can be very dedicated as preppers, since in fact some religions and even the Bible recommend some form of prepping. Some cons are that some of them are fanatical about their beliefs and can push people away. On the flip side of that coin, some religious preppers tend to be minimalist because they believe that God will save them, so they don't invest as much in the prepping as they should. Number 3, the economic prepper. The economic prepper is the guy who's anticipating total economic collapse, either in his own country or on a global scale. He is anticipating that the bottom will fall out under the fiat system so badly that it will take decades or even longer to recover. Pros to this are that he is prepared for one of the most common and realistic problems that come to pass in every country at some time or another, since economic depressions and even collapses do actually happen in virtually every country at one time or another. There are many examples of this in our own lifetime. The cons to this are that they can tend to be more economically prepared than anything else, and often concentrate more on precious metals than precious resources. Number 4, the natural disaster prepper. The natural disaster prepper is just that, the guy who lives in a hurricane-prone area and says to himself, "Hey, I live in a hurricane zone. I should be ready for a hurricane." Or he lives in a flood zone and says, "Hey, I should be ready for a flood." It's as simple as that. Pros are that he's very likely good and ready for the predetermined natural disaster he's most likely to face. The cons are that often that's all this guy is ready for, and it may not have crossed his mind that he might want to be prepared for other possibilities. Another con is that many of them are not prepared for a long haul during their disaster scenario, since there are those who think they will be rescued after a short time. Number 5, the government takeover prepper. This is the guy who believes that the system is out to get them and everyone else. They believe that the government or the corporations who influence their government or even a collaboration of governments and banks and corporations, either centralized or globally, will one day reveal themselves and affirm their control over the population. The pros to this are that many of them are very well prepared and very self-sufficient. They also tend to look at the world very differently, which makes them good critical thinkers. The cons to this are that sometimes they can come off like crazy conspiracy theorists and are easily targeted even harder than other types of preppers in the media, who love poking fun at these people. The crazier the theory looks, the better, because it makes all preppers look crazy to the sheeple. And of course, there's one more. You didn't think I was going to let that slide, did you? Call it number 6 if you will. The nothing in particular prepper. This is the guy who just wants to be ready. Doesn't matter what the reason is, because he doesn't have a specific one in mind. He just wants to be ready. Pros to this are that this guy tends to be well-rounded, and they also tend to concentrate more on training than people in some of the other groups. Cons are that many of them may ignore the actual prep aspect itself and not have enough for the long haul, if there is one. So I hope you found this list informative. If you have any comments or suggestions pertaining to the list, please feel free to post them in the comments section down below. I do try to answer as many as I can. Please do like, share, and subscribe. I sure do appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, take a look at some of the other videos. You may find something interesting. Please do also see my other channel, Coffee Talk, if you get the chance. I will put a link to it down below. And if you would like to help support this channel, there are links for that down below as well. So as always, stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.